empowerment are.
And the Christians being the majority in Ghana, what do you think will happen? And to me, that is a real test.
Yeah.
Prejudicial comments on it.
It is unconstitutional. If you look at Article 21C of the Constitution, it gives every Ghanaian an opportunity to practice their religion.
Why am I saying this? I'm going to use my life experience as an example. Before I decided to enter into SRC,
COVID is very important. HIV is equally important.
Agencies must do a lot. And Ministry of Gender.
I could see flashes of light, I could see shadows, I could see images, but then it stopped. I am now blind and have to be sad and all that.
There are challenges to this effect. So what do we do as a nation? What do we do as individuals? What do we do as organizations?
Je lance à toutes les personnes handicapées, aussi bien les femmes également.
Once you lack integrity, trust me, you are going nowhere.
A lot of people go to church and they are Christians, but they are not truly repentant. It's happened to me, like only by the mercy and grace of God that I'm alive to share all that I've been through or went through.
Showing every Friday at 6 p.m. You can follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, and also on Twitch, as well as YouTube. You are welcome to Empowerment Show. A very good evening to you all. This is our first program on Empowerment Hour show for the month of April. And it's an honor and a pleasure to have you all once again on Today Ghana News TV and on your favorite program, Empowerment Hour show. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and via satellite on Twitch for those in the Eastern European countries. We are also on Anchor.fm/podcast. Kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel as well and follow us on our Facebook page to receive prompts anytime we are live as we bring you amazing content all week long. We are indeed the web TV for best programs. Before we go into the conversation, just to remind you that Authentic Sales, which is an online sales business that offers you quality products at affordable prices, is associated with Empowerment Hour Show. For your original Apple products ranging from iPhones, chargers, AirTags, etc., as well as your fashion wears, kindly contact them on 020-800-2854. I repeat, 020-800-2854, or follow them on Instagram via the handle authentic_salesgh. The quality of your product purchase is guaranteed and assured with Authentic Sales. Thanks to the Links Cosmetology Training Institute for associating with Empowerment Hour Show. The Links Cosmetology Training Institute, we have a passion for your hair care. Do well to contact them on 055-7089-324 and on Facebook or Instagram via the handle The Links for all your hair designs, haircuts, makeup, Brazilian waxing, manicure and pedicure, as well as your beauty needs. Do not hesitate to reach out to them. Tonight, grab a seat and get some chilled drink by your side. Call a friend to call another friend that there's an awesome topic and a discussion tonight on Today Ghana News TV. And we have a very honorable member with us. Would want to quickly proceed with tonight's interaction, but then I would want us to go on a very quick commercial break, and then we would go through his profile and then welcome him on the show.
So today we launch your top fans.
Okay, so as we go on a quick commercial break, I would want you to invite a friend to call another friend to join us on Today Ghana News TV. So kindly share the
today we launch
link
your top
and then
fans
the YouTube link as well
on
to your friends.
Today Ghana
So my
News
producers,
TV.
let's kindly go on a quick
And
commercial
we
break
want
and then
all
I'll
the
introduce
viewers and
my guest
listeners
for tonight.
across the globe to tune in all the time. You're calling everybody, call your brother, call your sister to tune in all the time and be watching great, amazing prizes from today. So keep watching Ghana News TV.
All right, so you're welcome once again to Empowerment Hour Show on Today Ghana News TV. Indeed, we are the web TV for best programs. Quickly, I would want to read the profile of our guest for tonight, and then we will begin with the interaction. Okay, so we have with us tonight Mr. Muhammadu Bamba Diop, and he is the president of the Foundation of Persons Living with Albinism in Africa and the chairperson of the National Association of Albinism in Senegal. His objectives are to fight for the rights and dignity of people living with albinism and to raise awareness about the extremely difficult conditions in which they live in Senegal and Africa. Albinism heavily affects the lives of many people, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa. Africans are prone to albinism. In view of this, Mr. Muhammadu Bamba Diop is a strong advocate and an activist in the disability sector. He has initiated the rehabilitation and extension of the Center for Persons with Albinism. The problem of schooling for people living with albinism is very worrying as they are living in a constant constant state of fear, a situation he intends to fight at all costs. He envisages to set up a boarding school and other additional rooms which will accommodate children with albinism from Senegal and Africa. The aim of this center is to reduce illiteracy amongst this highly vulnerable group. Although this extension project of the Center for Young People and Adults living with albinism in Africa is a huge concern. This is a challenge he needs to take up because they are facing problems related to health, education, training, inclusion into school life. In Africa, harmful practices are very widespread in spite of African governments' commitment to protect and promote their human rights. Article 11 of Protocol to the African Charter on the Rights of Persons with Human and People's Rights in Africa stipulates that state parties shall take all appropriate measures and offer appropriate support and assistance to victims of harmful practices, including legal sanctions, educational and advocacy campaigns to eliminate harmful practices perpetrated on persons with disabilities, including witchcraft, abandonment, concealment, ritual killings, or the association of disability with omens. These last years, several measures have been taken in order to preserve their lives, but many individuals with albinism continue to die of skin cancer. In addition, they are victims of horrific killing promoted by witch doctors in the potential magical and superstitious properties of their body parts. As we mentioned earlier, Mr. Muhammadu Bamba Diop is a strong advocate and activist in this disability sector, and it's an honor to host him tonight on Today Ghana News TV. We have a lot to learn from him, and it's a privilege to have him. So, Mr. Muhammadu Bamba Diop, you are welcome once again to Today Ghana News TV.
Thank you, Joyce. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be again your guest, in Ghana News TV. And I'm ready, to share my experience, my ideas, and my work, for all the people, in Senegal and West Africa, but also the people living with albinism in Africa. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much too. Mr. Muhammadu, we've heard something brief about your organization and about what you do as a person. I don't know if you have a few things you would want to highlight with regards to that.
Yes, the few things I want to highlight, is just to add that I'm part of one of the 23 experts on albinism, in the world. And I have the chance to study in USA, and I was also board member of the NOAA's organization. This is one organization was based in New York, and that advertise on albinism, and help people living with albinism to know so much things on albinism, skilled, and also to be able, to make awareness on albinism in their country. And there was a conference that held every 4 years in USA. Thank you so much.
Wow, that's great to know. And we congratulate you for your good work, for all you've been doing for persons living with albinism in Senegal and beyond. Can you briefly tell us about the foundation in general, the foundation that you are actually the founder of? Can you briefly tell us about what you do and what projects you've been able to embark on so far?
Thank you so much. Okay, the foundation for the people living with albinism was, held in 2020. And if you remember, I was facing so many problems with
Okay, unfortunately, we've lost Mr. Mohammed Bamba. I don't know if we have a few comments from our viewers on Facebook or on YouTube. I would want to quickly pick those comments, hoping to reach out to him very soon. Okay, Patience Darko comes in to say, good evening, sweetie. Watching you from Hamburg, Germany. You're looking beautiful. Thank you so much, Patience Darko. Thank you for always following us. You've been an ardent follower since we began Today Ghana News TV, and we appreciate. Gideon Tevia comes in to say, watching live from Accra, Ghana. Thank you, Gideon, for always joining us. We appreciate greatly. Kweku Adi says, you are looking wonderful. Watching you live from Amsterdam, Holland. Thank you, Kweku Adi. We appreciate as well. Okay, I think we've had Mr. Mohamadu back on the line, so we'd want to proceed with the conversation.
Thank you so much. Sorry
Thank
about
you.
it. The internet connection is so bad in Africa. This is
Yeah.
another awareness that we must fight, because
Yeah.
services are very expensive and, people cannot get to internet, safely, But
Yeah, it's rather unfortunate.
yeah. Thank you so much. Okay. So I was saying about, the foundation, and I just want to just go a little bit back to talk about why we go for a foundation, because
Okay.
so many people with albinism are holding organization like association, and the association is only based in their country. You cannot do more, you cannot have support, you cannot get support also from your government. And when I just think about putting in place a foundation, I just look forward and see that there is so many organizations in Africa, but nothing of one have the power to be able to do a big awareness, to be able to help albino, to be able to help member of their organization. And I just say myself, I think the best way today is to put in place a foundation, because in Africa we see so many foundations, but most of them doesn't talk about albinism. Most of them don't care about the situation of albinism. And the need was in place when we saw with the COVID-19, so many people with albinism was dying in Africa and nobody talk about it. In Senegal, so many of them get sick and nobody care. So we start, the paperwork. We go and see a lawyer and start to put in place that foundation. And by the same moment, we start to collect money and to buy food to go to albinism family and start to help them, because you know that so many country was locked down. If I remember in Senegal, so many town was locked and people cannot come to Dakar to beg, because in Senegal the most of big activity that people with albinism can do is to beg on the street. And when you beg on the street, you are exposed to the sun, you get sick, you cannot go to hospital, you cannot have very good health care. So we start first to collect money with the foundation to go in albinism family and to start to give them food, to help them with the COVID-19. And several months ago, we start to run around Senegal to collect albino, to give them sun cream, to give them clothes, to give them hats, because this is the most thing that they need, because most of them never have access to sun cream. And we remember that in Senegal, in Africa, people with albinism in general, living with very, very bad condition, very bad. They are vulnerable, they are classed to the social category, and most of them never get support from their government. So today, the well-being, the fighting, and the awareness that the foundation want to do, first of all, is to help them to have to education and healthcare. This is the most big target that we want to do. After that, we will target about the lower, because we know that in general, beside the Union Nation and the African Commission, most of countries sign the protocol, they sign the Union Convention, but they are not ready to be involving albinism in the social activity they are doing in their country. So this is so many ways that we have to fight to be able today to raise albinism in the first level, that people with albinism can see themselves involved in their country. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's great to know. Thank you for highlighting that into details. Want to find out from you, with regards to your organization, what's your core mission or vision or objectives? Is it more about advocacy? Is it more about providing financial support to persons with albinism? Or what exactly do you mainly focus on? If you can touch on that.
Yes, thank you so much. The advocacy will take a very big place in the activity that we have to do, because beside the problem that they're facing for their skin, the problem they are facing for the education, for the health care. I was saying that today in Senegal and in Africa, people with albinism are dying every day. In the context that we are today, in so many countries, most of them are dying. Mostly the young boy. Why they die? Why they die? Because today albinism are locked down. They are involved to the Federation of the Disabled. But the politics that our government are putting in place just to show that they are counting like a disabled, but the need they cannot have access to their need. Why? Because today there is some international law guide that are put in place, but to advocate is the most big activity that we must do today. Why we must advocate? If I take the case in Senegal, when you are albino, you cannot go to school. Why you cannot go to school? Because the school are not ready to welcome people living with disability, mostly people living with albinism. Actually, I'm in my town. The temperature is 42 degrees, 45 degrees. Black people are suffering. Normal people, they are suffering. What will be the life for the albino? Actually, they are more suffering because they are getting the higher degrees of the sun. The second thing is our political people doesn't want to do nothing about albinism. Why? Because they know that there is some text international, laws that were signed and that exist, but they don't want to go through because they know that people with albinism must need too much money, to be taken care, and the government are not ready to put that money. So why we need to advocate? Because of the disability policy, because of a law that has to be very specific for people living with albinism. Today, if I want to ask my right, what I need to do, I need to go through the Union Convention. I need to go through the African chapter. But what is existing in my country? Nothing. Today in Senegal, the disability policy is start, but it's not conclude. The government has so much things to do about it, but they won't talk about in election. In general, they will talk, yes, we need to help people with disability. We need to give them job. We need to give them access to the fundraising and all these things. But this is just talking. Today, if we fight and we advocate to have a disability policy, especially for people living with albinism, we can raise it and put it on the table and ask for our right. We need to do that, and we need to be accompanied by the African Union, but also we need to get support from NGOs that are based in Africa. And this is the most often needed. That's why advocation today must have a very big place in the activity that our organization, our foundation will be able to do in the next coming months, next coming years, to put albinism on the right place. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So with regards to your organization, which people are qualified to be members of the organization? Is it only categorized for people or persons living with albinism, or anyone can join forces together to champion this worthy cause?
Thank you. You know, today, as we are excluded, we cannot say we only need people living with albinism in our board member, in our organization. We have to be united. We have to welcome everybody. Today, when you come to my foundation, you will see albinism, you will see European people, you will see Senegalese people, you will see Congolese people, you will see African people, and you will see disabled. Because this is the target, this is our goal. We need to fight a right. And to fight a right, we need to be united to fight a right. If today albinism just say we have to be aside, what we will get when we are aside? We don't get nothing. We will exclude ourselves and we will exclude people. Today our target is to welcome people, to welcome albino, to welcome non-albino. Together we have the same action, the same voice, and we do the same fighting. Like this, we can get more result from our government, more result from NGOs, more result from the fighting for the right for people living with albinism in Africa. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Mahamadou, would you say that most of the times persons living with albinism probably may not themselves have enough knowledge about the condition, or what exactly do you think? Because there are lots of misconceptions that people hold that with them, most of them are prone to skin conditions and a whole lot because they do not have enough knowledge about their condition and how they can protect themselves. What do you have to say with regards to that?
Okay, this is today something that push us to put in place the most big center for people living with albinism in Africa, and that center is implemented in Senegal. Why we want to do that? Today, when you come in Senegal, you see that 98% of the people living with albinism are illiteracy. They never been to school, or they was one time to school and they quit. Why they quit? Because the school are not ready, to give them their need. They have lack of vision. They have lack of welcome because the discrimination is so higher in the public school. That's why most of the albino go to private school to be ready to study. Today, that center will welcome kids living with albinism to be trained. They will stay there with the other normal kids. They will be able to have a very good education. They will be able to have very good health care. they will be able to have a very good training. Like this, in a few years, we will see on the place, on the ground, people living with albinism with so many degrees, with so many diploma, and they will be ready to enjoy the public function, to be enjoying the private function, to have access to job, because our target and our vision is in a few years in Africa, we can see, people with albinism has, ready to be a lawyer, ready to be a teacher, ready to be a nurse, ready to be a doctor, ready to be a member of parliament, and ready to be maybe a president in a few years. This is our vision, and this is the target that we want to achieve today for people living with albinism. To make sure that in several years in the country, we can see people with albinism as a leader, ready to, be leading an office, ready to be leading, a school, ready to be a minister, ready to be a president for the republic. This is our vision, and this is the target that we want to achieve in a few years.
Okay. So thank you so much for that. Mr. Mahamadou, we would want you to touch on, I quite remember some years back, there was an upsurge, or should I say, a wave of violent death with regards to persons living with albinism. And we heard a lot of misconceptions about using such people for rituals, and even some family members willingly and voluntarily giving off their albino children off for ritual killing. Can you touch on that so that the world or people listening to us will be able to hear your view on that? And I'm sure that it's going to inform some decisions that people take, especially families with persons living with albinism.
Yeah, thank you so much. Why today I'm ready for that fighting. We face so many violence, assault and murder as person living with albinism are targeted for their body part, of witchcraft and ritual practices. In addition, women and girls with albinism experiences sexual assault. Common with albinism include that sexual intercourse with a woman or girls with albinism can cure HIV/AIDS. And today I feel so penny to say it, because I remember the first time I left Senegal to go to Tanzania. At the time, we was, challenged by the African decade. And when we joined Tanzania, we joined a ceremony that 25% living with albinism was killed for ritual killing. And that days was so difficult. I remember all the members of the delegation, they cry a lot, because I was imagining myself, when I see my kid that, lost a leg or lost a foot, or, they cut the head, and you imagine yourself what these people, face before they die. And this is the first day that we start in 2012 to raise our voice in so many media, BBC and all those media, to talk about the ritual killing of albinism in Africa. And today you see in so many countries, there was those activity. In 2012 in Senegal, myself, I almost was killed, because at that moment I was facing a president of a republic, a president that some member of his team killed albino for ritual killing. And I was one with my organization to go to the media to talk about the international news that joined Senegal to support us for that fighting we was doing for the right of people living with albinism. And today, we do the advocacy, but we have a lack. We have a lack of support because when you talk and the government ignore you, when you talk that you see so many human rights organizations that don't want to involve your fighting, and today you saw them fighting for political people, for so many things, but for the fight of albinism right, they don't join us, they don't support us, and they have fun for those fighting. And I don't understand why today in so many countries you see the human rights organization doesn't support the advocacy of the people living with albinism. And from that day to now, all our speech go for the well-being for the albino, but we also asking for a specific law. Why we ask for that specific law? Today you see your girl, your sister, or your big sister who has a sexual abuse. What happened after? You go to the police to report it. 2 days after, you say somebody come put the two family together and try to make peace, and after that it's finished. That lady will live with a pregnancy, with a baby without father. She will fight to feed the baby without assistance, and most of them are just hide it from their house, and they go to live on the street with all the danger they will face. Most of them, they lose their mind. I remember in Senegal how many women lost their mind, stay living on the street. We take their baby to give it, to the nurse to keep that baby because they lost their mind, because in the beginning they get scared. After that, they get sick. You have two major problem on your head, has you your mind. And our problem is we see that no assistance, no react from the government, no react from the NGOs, no react from the human rights organization. Today, we have to stop this. We have to stop the ritual killing. Today, we need all African people in our side. They must understand that people living with albinism are a human being. They are not ghosts. They are not danger. They are not bringing the bad thing in the house. They just are some special people, who born like this and who need support. Today, African people welcome European people. What is the difference with albinism and European people? European people, they are brown. Albinism, they are white. What is the problem? This is the community who are like this. I was saying to my friend one day, just to call me, hey, Pune, Pune, in Africa, there is so many names, but name that they are using to call people living with albinism. And in the beginning, I get sick sometimes, sometimes I used to fight. But when I start to get younger, I say, no, the fighting is not the good way. Let's see the way that, I can convince these people to understand that the way they are talking is the discrimination. And we don't have to be discriminated, because when you're born, you don't know, mother, you are white, you are brown, you are black, but you are a human being. And when you die, what we say, he died. Not the albino die, or not the black people die, or not the brown people die. And when you go to the cemetery, you cannot know where they buried the albino, where they buried, the regular people, like I used to say, But today in Africa, even one albino, when he died, you cannot bury him in peace. I remember in Senegal, when somebody with albinism died, I make a private, ceremony, and we call the police to escort us until the cemetery, and we bury him, and we put, something to block the body that nobody can have access, because some people, some witchcraft, they come to the cemetery, they call the waiter, they give him money and ask him. The day you see that they bring one albino die, just call me. And when they come, they buried him, they take some part, And I say, why? You cannot live in peace in Africa like your albinism, and you cannot die in peace. And what we don't understand is our authorities, our government, people just watch like, what happened. They don't want to do nothing. They want continue to ignore us, leaving us dying, leaving us facing those problems. As member of the population, we must get our right. And that's why today I say African people must be united with albinism organization. And this is the target that our foundation is, doing advocacy, fighting, showing people the best way that they have to be aside with albino, to help them, to accompany them, to give them the power to be able to get the right from the government. Because the government, who is the government? The government is the people that we choose in election. They come with a program. And today in all Africa, if we see somebody who want to be a president and don't have a program for people living with albinism, the population don't want to just give him their vote, because the exclusion will continue, the discrimination will continue, and the ignorance will continue for the people living with albinism. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Mohamedou Bamba Diop. I think while you were speaking, I saw a question flash on the screen. Okay. There are a lot of misconceptions with regards to persons living with albinism, and this is a question from NDC Diaspora Union in this regard, and they are asking that please ask him about the misconception about persons with albinism, that they don't die, but they just vanish. So he's saying there's a misconception that albinos don't die, but then they just disappear. They vanish into thin air. He wants to find out from you.
Okay, thank you so much. This is, I can say, very upcoming question that so many people used to ask me, because, in so many regions, in Senegal, outside, Africa, people doesn't believe that when you are people living with albinism, you can die. You just vanish. I say it's not the truth. People with albinism is dying. And most of the people who just get this information, most of the time never be in touch with people living with albinism. That's why somebody that have skin cancer, that's screaming, crying until he died. So myself, I say in so many countries. I remember 4 months ago, I was called by my member in Guinea Conakry, and we discovered a baby, a 3 years baby that was, thrown out in one place that there was a garbage. When we come, the baby, the girl has almost 4 days on those garbage. And when we check her, at the beginning we was thinking that that she died because she was not able to cry, she was not able to move. We bring her at the hospital. They said she has lack of vitamin. And when we start to give a vitamin, the first thing we do is to go and get her family and find her mother or her father. And what we discover that the father of the baby was the father of her mama. Donc she was violated by her father. She get pregnant. When she gets pregnant and she has a baby, the family just tell her that this baby you have is not a human being. You have to throw her out in the garbage and she will vanish because they don't die. But you cannot keep her in the family because she will bring the desert, she will bring, the bad things, and she will bring so many things bad for the family. And she go to the garbage, she throws the baby and she run away. Today, myself, I can say exactly that people with albinism are dying, because in my family I have so many uncles that was albino, and they die. Why they die? Because most of them, when they get burned with cancer, in Senegal nobody know about cancer with people with albinism. So when you have cancer, the first thing they do is just to build a room outside the house, and they put you inside. So they will bring you every day one food, you eat until you die, because they said, the sickness that you have, when you are in touch with the people, they will also die with you. So how many people die like this? How many people die when they suffer with that sickness? In my language, they call that gomorobale. That means a sickness that you will die with. So today, so many people, when they get cancer and they join the foundation, we help them, we bring them to hospital, we buy their medication, and they get okay. Today, I have so many people living with albinism that had cancer before, and they get cured. And today, I can be a big example, because in 5 years ago, I had cancer. I was in France, I get the treatment, and today I'm okay. I have 3 kids with albinism, and I can tell to everybody to have in their mind that people with albinism are a human being, and they die like a human being. Thank you.
Thank you so much for clarifying that misconception. I think we have another question for you from Patience Darko, and she says, please ask him if it is possible for two albino couple to give birth to an albino baby. So she wants to find out if a couple with albinism can actually give birth to a baby with albinism.
Okay. Albinism baby, when they born, from the first day to the 7 months, is blind. And after the 7 months, he start to recover the vision. For so many people in Africa, they don't have the experiences, because they never study, about albinism condition. They don't know nothing about albinism. And I was saying to my team that we need to find the way that we have to make research, like what they did in so many European country and in USA, because over there all the research are in English. Most of the French country never touch, the social network. Most of them also doesn't have access, to internet, because like we are suffering in the capital, we don't have good internet. When you live to the village, you cannot go to the social network and do your checking. So today we need to provide research to show families, to show father and mother having baby with albinism, how they can keep it. Because the baby with albinism in Africa is the one who suffer a lot, and they are the one who die a lot. I remember in Senegal last year we have 40 baby who die. Why they die? Because they born with albinism. The mother and the father doesn't know that the baby cannot see. They don't bring her to the hospital, because in the beginning, when the baby is born, you have to go to the dermatologist. They will give you some medicine, to clean the eye, because the only thing she need is to clean the eyes for the 7 months. After that, you will see that the baby start to check the light. When the light is in this side, she move the head like this. When the light in that side, she move the head like this. You know that this baby start to see a little, and the vision is very small. And after that, she need to have a very big, condition of, dermatologic assistant, ophthalmologic assistant. And in the village, they don't have access to hospital. And the mother, in the morning, she go around 7 or 8 kilometers to find a water, and the baby in the back, she's suffering on the sun condition. She's suffering, without cover, because they don't have sun cream, they don't have protection, they don't have hat. And in a few days you see that she start to have a very bad skin. The skin start to be very hot, and she's crying every time, day, night, morning. The mother go crazy because she doesn't know what happened, why my baby is crying like this. And she doesn't know that the baby is suffering from the sun. She's suffering from the higher degrees that the family are facing, and she doesn't have assistance, and nobody can tell them that you are an albino baby, that she cannot live in those conditions. You have to be in some place that she can be, in the warm environment. She can also have very good clothes like in cotton. She has to put a hat, but she also has to have sun cream to protect her skin. So in Africa, this is the very big problem now. So many babies are dying because they have misunderstanding albinism condition, and the family doesn't have the experiences to be in touch with a dermatologist who can show them the need that this baby has to have to be alive. That's why today I said, in Africa, the fighting must be, in the very, very largest field, because babies, young albino are the one who suffer a lot. And today, when we count from the people who dying with albinism, the number is very big, from the baby living with albinism and the young boy with albinism. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much as well. I don't know if there's any other question from our audience. If not, I would also want to, okay, NDC Diaspora Union comes in to say the issues of albinism in Africa is a big problem that needs urgent government and African Union attention. Okay, yes. I don't know if you would want to touch on that or throw more light on that.
Yes, I was saying that this is today the most big goal that we want to achieve, because the recognition of the people living with albinism, and that recognition must start from the Union Nation. We was happy when they elected Maluka, that lady from Nigeria, to be the representative of the albinism community on the Union Nation. But today, the job of Maluka is just to advocate and maybe to facilitate training for organization of people living with albinism. But I was saying myself, as we fight to have a lady on the Union Nation, as strong that the Union Nation is today, as stronger that the African Union are stronger today, that lady was supposed to have a budget to be able to go in each country in Africa, to join organization, to facilitate, the advocacy between the organization and the government. Because today, so many people in Africa doesn't know nothing about albinism. You can go to meet a minister in Senegal. Before you come, one of his advisor will tell him, listen, these people, when you meet them, you will lose your chair. You don't have to meet them because they were bringing, the bad things from you. And the minister will advise you, I get your letter, but, actually my budget is not sufficient. I will see in the next, session if the budget can be, available, and we will see what we can do for your organization. They don't want to meet you. They don't want to listen to you. And this is something that I always facing here in Senegal. Even when you ask to see the president of the republic, their advisor will tell him, Mr. the President, if you meet those people living with albinism, the next election you will lose your chair. So today, there is the mentality, African government mentality must be changed, because they are so much increased in the social environment, in the social thing that they was living in the past. Today we are in a new world. We are in the new world that people must get their rights. So today it's a very big challenge to be albino in Africa, to be albino, that will be ready, to have their right. And our government today just want to ignore us because they know that this community needs so much money to be taken care, from the education, from the health care, from the program they are putting in place. So that's why I was saying our power today was supposed to be the Union nation. Our power today was supposed to be the support of the African Union. And we still advocate for that organization. Today, my fighting is to welcome that lady Maluku to be able to show the ridicule situation that people with albinism are facing in Africa. And like this, she will know our difficulty. She will be together with us, and we will fight together for the right of people living with albinism. And today we're asking budget for her because she doesn't have budget. She doesn't have support. She's just like a volunteer on the Union Nation to be able to work on albinism field. But there is so many lack, of power that she need to push government that signed the Union Convention, that signed the African Charter, to do the application for the well-being of people living with albinism in Africa. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Muhammadu Bamba. I think you've given us so much information with regards to albinism, and I think you've spoken enough. Let me quickly read some comments on our platform, and then we'll continue with the discussion. So Kwekwadi comes in to say, I think in Ghana, we have been lucky enough to have albinos as ministers of state from both political parties. So he's saying we are fortunate enough as Ghanaians to have persons living with albinism in our parliament house from both political divide. And I think that's great to know. That's a great one. Stephen Atiga comes in to say, thanks for the education on albinism. We shall all help to educate our people. Thank you so much, Stephen. This is exactly the aim that we seek to achieve, and thanks for committing to this worthy cause. Okay, I think we are done with the comments. I would want to proceed to find out from you once again, Mr. Muhammadu. Personally, I would want to delve a little bit into your private life. At what moment did you realize that you looked different from other people? And then growing up, did it have any effect on you in terms of like living in a community and all that? If you can share that personal experience with us so that people listening to us or people that in the near future may give birth to albinos would be able to know that at least it's not a mistake and they can live with such children and not be scared or end up killing them or using them for sacrifices and all that.
Thank you so much. I will be happy to share, my experiences as a young boy. When I born with albinism, it was two guys, me and my brother. Actually, he left Senegal when we were young to establish in United States because at that moment the situation was very difficult. As albino, the first time you notice that you are different with others, it's when in your house you have a guest. When the guest is coming in the house, they hide you. They ask you to be, in your room. Go to your room because the guests will come when they see people. All people are black and they see a white people. When they get out, the first thing they have in their mind is at that moment there was so many white people coming from Europe, and they will see your mother has somebody who just have sex with a white man and who put in place in the house a white man between the other children. And the chance we have, me and my brother, is my father has a policeman know so many things before in albinism field, because in her family there was so many people living with albinism that die very difficultly because at that moment nobody know about cancer. This is the situation in the house. When you get out on the streets, the kids who supposed to be your friend, the kids who supposed to be around you that you play together, they will run away when they see you. Most of them, start to scream, start to cry. In the school, nobody want to sit down next to you. I remember when I was coming to school in the classroom, it was terrible. When I entered the school, all the kids, they run away. And they start to call me Pune, Pune, Pune. Pune was a very bad word that they used to call albino in Senegal. So in my mindset, I get scared because I don't know what's going on. Why these people are running, from me. And when you enter in the classroom, nobody wants to sit down next to you. And the big problem I have in classroom was I cannot see the blackboard. I was scared to leave my bench to go next to the blackboard to write on my copybook because the teacher don't allow it. And when the class finish, I want to go next to the kids to ask them to borrow me their copybook. Like this, I stay in the classroom and copy, everything. Before I start to talk, they run away. So when I come back to school from the house, I feel so destroyed. I don't know what happened. It's like I'm in one world that nobody know about me. Nobody want to be in touch with me. Nobody want to play with me. And when we come in the house, my father has a policeman just to call us. Come on, come on. We come, we say, listen, just understand that you are not different with the other people. The only difference is in your mind. You have a lack of melanin. That lack of melanin today make you white. And you feel red when you come from the sun because you don't use the medication that's supposed to protect you from the sun. Because at the moment that medication doesn't exist in the pharmacy. And we don't have the knowledge that we were supposed to put some big hearts, to protect ourselves. So I can say for me and was my mom and my father. And my father was always telling me, listen, this is one situation that you have to face, to fight, to be somebody, to be respected in the future, and to be able to fight for the other albino that will born. Because if nobody fight for them, people will never know about the situation. People will never know about their condition of life. And today, the big problem is you have a government that was supposed to protect you, to make awareness about albinism issue, that all the family, all the kids will be ready and will be happy to join one albino. And that was so difficult. Sometimes you when you get out of school, you walk to go to your house, you see a big man that come next to you. Sometimes they touch your hair, sometimes they push you, sometimes they come and scratch in front of you. It's like you feel, very different. And when we have 9 years old, it was not possible to stay in public school because you cannot stay in one classroom that you cannot see the blackboard, and nobody allowed you to wake up and go to the blackboard to see. And we say to our father, listen, father, we are just feeling tired to go every day to school to don't learn nothing. And you ask that the difference is in our head. We need support today to fight to be able to study. And he start to take a private teacher that will come in the house to give us the lesson and everything. And when the exam come, my father go to register us, as the office exam, and like this we do our exam. And when I finish my high school diploma, he bring me to United States to be able to study and to finish my study. And when I finish my studying, I say myself, this has to be stopped. Today, I have to go back to Senegal. I have to go back to my house, back to my town, to show people that I'm an albino. I was facing so many difficulties, but those difficulties must be stopped. And we have to start to raise our voice, to put albinism together with the other kids, to show them that the difference is not to be a disabled people. The difference is in the mind. But as a disabled people, you are in a difficult situation. You are facing difficult situation. But when the environment is available, that we have the sun cream, that we have today the possibility to have a glass, we can fight and, to be together with every people. And I can say today in Senegal, I was the first people living with albinism, who is an engineer in IT, and who has his master in management and communication. And I was the first albino who joined the public function and work at the presidency as a computer program. And I'm so proud. And this is experience that I want to share with the kids living with albinism, with the parents that have albino, to tell them that the difference is not in the physical environment. The difference is in the head. When you see yourself as a disabled, you cannot succeed. But when you see yourself as a complete people that just have a luck, and that luck is just like a storm that you have to move to just move your way to be able, to work like the other people, to be able to have a very good job, to have your family. Today I have 3 kids living with albinism. They are going in public school, they are going in private school, and they are together with several kids, because I'm going every day on the school to advertise, the teacher, to advertise the kids. And today the kids feel very happy to be with an albino. They play together, they work. In several years ago, you cannot see that in school. So we start to achieve, some goals, but we need to fight, because the big storm that we have in front of us is our government, that we have to just show them that there is no difference between human beings. People can be white, people can be yellow, people can be brown, people can be black, but they will be same people, and they are human beings, and there is no difference. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Mohamedou Bamba Diop. With the experience you've shared with us, it's just, it's amazing. We thank you so much for not holding your experience away from us, but letting the world know what you went through and how you've been able to come out strong from it. For the sake of posterity, I would want to find out from you, with all these things you went through as someone growing up in a community where you looked different as an albino, with all the things that you went through, I'm sure being human, some of them bothered you or had an effect on you one way or the other. How were you able to surmount those challenges? So that I want people who would one day chance on this video I want people who will be able to, who will chance on this video actually to pick up some lessons or key things from this interaction. how were you able to get to this stage? How were you able to, I mean, with all this ridicule, with all that you went through, how did you come out this strong to be such a personality worthy of emulation in society?
I can say it was not so easy because
Okay.
you know the life is very difficult with everybody. Today, when you see somebody who is sick, he come to hospital, they check him and they tell him his sickness. The first thing that the doctor will tell him, listen, this is a sickness. That sickness can be cured, but you have to fight. First of all, you have to accept your sickness. If you born with albinism, you start to grow up. The first challenges will from your family, will from your father and your mother. But I can say today, so many albino, when they born, they lost their father. Because so many people, when they make one albino alive, they will never accept that they are their kids. This is one experience that, you know, so many people, so many women that have baby in Senegal with albinism, they are facing. The first thing is the husband run away. He don't want to have a child living with albinism. But what can happen as a mother? You have to accept that you have that albino is your child. The first thing that you have to do is to prepare him, to convince him that he's an albino, to show him that has an albino, he has to fight to find his place on the ground. This is the first thing. When you don't accept your albino, today I see in Senegal some people, when I ask them the question, you are an albino, are you happy to be an albino? They say. I say, are you happy to be an albino? They say no. I ask them, if you have to choose, if today you have the choice to be no albino or to be albino, what you will choose? They say, I will choose to be no albino. I say, why? Why? They said, you know, we lost, you lost the power because you suffered, you're facing so many problems. But whose men in this world are not facing problems? We have albino. Some people are disability. Some people are blind. The first thing today is to fight to accept your handicap first and to remove it from your mind. Don't see that you lost the color of your skin. Don't see that you lost your leg or you lost your foot. Just understand that I'm in very bad situation that I have to improve myself to accept that situation and to follow my way, to show to people that I am albino, but I have to show that one albino can be a human being, one albino can study, one albino can have a job, one albino can be this, can be this, can be this. And the chance I have today, and I want to every fathers to be together with their kids with albinism, to push them to accept their disability. This is the first thing that will make you very strong. And I remember that I was so strong. I was playing in football. I was doing so many things. I do athleticism. Everything that happened in the house, I'm the first to say, my father, let me do it. Painting the wall, I say, I'm ready to do it. No, you will break your skin. I say, no, I can't do it. And I challenge myself to do it. This is some several things that as an albino we must accept to do. We must accept to be valuable, to be ready to do it, to challenge ourselves. Because if you don't challenge yourself, you just hide yourself like this, you will never accept your condition and you will be always down because people will see you always down. And I remember one day one American woman, she come several years ago, she told me, the first time I come in Senegal, I see people with albinism. When they walk on the street, they was like this, the head was down, and they just show their way. They cannot, put up their head and see in front of the people. But today I'm so happy because I see that a very great job was done. Today you see on the street people with albinism, with their friend, they work very freely and they don't feel like uncomfortable. Today this is the challenges that I want albino in every Africa to have it. Challenge yourself, have a goal. When you're born with albino, when you start to grow, first thing, get the support from your family that will talk to you, that will challenge you, that will convince you to believe to yourself. Have a goal that means when I will grow up, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a driver, I want to be a teacher, I want to be a minister, I want to be a member of the parliament. This is some goal that will push you to be more strong, will push you to study more, will push you to be able to face so many difficult as much as they can come, but you will be ready, to face them and to follow your way and to finish your goal and to be in the few years one big and valuable people that will be ready to involve the economy and the development of his country. And I can say this is so many things that I get from my father. I get from some good people who challenge me, who push me to accept my albinism condition, and just to follow me and challenge me to fight to be in the future somebody. And today I'm so happy to be able to fight for albino in Senegal and for albino in Africa. And I can say if I was not challenged by my family, by the people that was seeing that one albino can be today a leader in Africa and showing the well-being, the way that every albino can follow to be in the future a strong man, a good man, and a valuable man that contribute to the development of his country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mahamadou Bamba Diop. I think I saw a few comments and questions from our audience on Facebook and YouTube. I would want to quickly read them and then we will round up for tonight. Okay. Patience Dako says, please ask him, are albinos only found in Africa or we have them in other continents?
Yes.
So this is from Patience Dako.
Yes, I was surprised, in the beginning when I get to Noah and there was a conference and in the world so many person living with albinism was join us. And this was the first time that I faced people living with albinism coming from America, coming from Europe, coming from Asia, coming from Africa, coming from Oceania. And I understand myself that, I was thinking that we was only albino in Africa. Today I see so many people, coming in all the world. And that day I understand that albinism are in all the world. In every country you go in the world, you will face people living with albinism. But the difference is today in Africa we have 165 days with the sun. In Europe, you have the very good condition, and you have some government that take care of their population and follow the people living with albinism to give them, the need they want, the need they must have in the school, in their environment, and they have assistant like a social worker that will be next to them to talk with them, to help them to understand their albinism condition and to show them the best way that they need to follow to achieve their goal. And this is the lack and the difference that we have between Africa and in Europe. That's why in Africa, albinism are killing, albinism are, sick with cancer, albinism are left behind. Nobody care about them, only their family, on the people who understand. We need to have one word, not two words or three words, just one word that every human being must be involved in getting the right. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We appreciate the clarity you've given us on this topic. And we want to further ask you, is there any special care that persons with albinism need in order to function well in their daily lives? Is there any special care that you think they are supposed to actually focus on or take so much notice of?
Yes, in Africa, person with albinism must have a very good condition, and this is the luck they have today. I start with the baby. The baby must be in the warm environment. The baby must be protected from the sun. As an albino, you cannot be more than 30 minutes exposed to the sun without sun cream. Today, my fighting is to put in place a very big fabric of sun cream that can help so many people living with albinism in Senegal, in Africa, to have access to sun cream. In my center, I want to implement a unity, of vision. I'm working with Aboriginal View, one very strong organization that based in Spain, that will be ready to be established in the center and to produce free sunglasses for people living with albinism. Because if you don't have a very good sunglasses, you cannot walk around the environment, you cannot study in class, and you cannot drive, you cannot do nothing, because albinism has 50% blind people. He cannot see 100%. And if you don't have a good glasses, you cannot study. And the second thing is, when you living with a disability and you don't know nothing about that disability, government must provide social worker, that can assist people living with albinism, to follow them, to talk with them, because, as a person facing so many different discrimination, marginalization, people treat you, as a not valuable person. If all those things are in your mind, you can lose your mind. Some people can kill themselves. Some people can just leave the environment and go to establish in the forest or in one place that they can see themselves, in very good environment. So if you don't have all those facility, it's a very big problem today to raise a child with albinism. It's a very big problem today to see an albino who have 30 years, 25 years old, 20 years old, never been to school, don't know how to read, how to write. You don't know what you need. You don't know about your disability. You don't have access to hospital. Today, our hospital in Africa looks like a clinic. When you don't have money, you cannot get assistance. And today, this is a side of our fighting, that albino must have access, free access to education, and the need around what he need for the education. Must have access for free to health care, because if you don't have health care, if you don't have assistant of the dermatologist, if you don't assistant of the ophthalmologist, you cannot survive. When you start to develop, some pain, after several days, it turn around cancer. Cancer is very expensive. If you don't have money, you cannot get cured, and you die very early. This is so many needs that today, as we advocate, we just putting on the table and put it together and asking for the facility for those, access to the albino, because it must be free. Like today, you have the diabetic, they get access to their medication. You see the people who have HIV/AIDS, they have access to the medication, free access. Why today albino in Africa cannot have free access to sun cream, cannot have free access to glass, cannot have free access to good condition? This is something that our government must take in charge and leave it gratis for all the people living in albinism in Africa. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much as well. I don't know if there are some more comments, but then, okay, if there are some more comments, I will ask that my producer projects it, and then we'll ask one or two questions that we have, and then we'll call it a night. Okay. All right. If not, I would also want to find out from you, Mr. Bamba, that with people living with albinism in African cultures, it is viewed that their environment is hostile because of some institutional and national interventions that do not benefit them. Or should I say there are some lapses when it comes to institutional and national interventions, and even to a larger extent, international interventions. I want to ask you, what requests do you really have on your heart to people in authority or people in the ranks and files of authority? What are some of the institutional changes or institutional measures or interventions you wish that they will put in place with regards to persons living with albinism?
Thank you so much. You know, today, as people living with albinism, the first need today, and we advocate for that, is to have, first of all, security. Who provide the security is the government. Why today the witchcraft are killing and selling organs of albino around Africa, and nobody raised the voice to say stop, because the government has the capacity and the ability to protect all the population. Why today people with albinism are not protected? Today you can see in the villages, early in the morning, somebody who enter in a house, take an albino, kill him, and take the body part and go. And you cannot do nothing, because the first thing the people do is to protect themselves. You cannot assist him. I face so many cases like this in Senegal and in so many countries in Africa. Why? Because they don't have the right. And they're supposed to have the right, because they have to be protected like every human being in the country. This is the first thing. The second thing is today, why in Senegal, 98% of people living with albinism, you know, they never been to school. They don't know how to read and how to write. Had the Ministry of Education, what is the goal that they have to achieve? Is to provide good education for every kids. Why today we don't have access to a good education? This is another loss of right, because we have the right to education. We have the right to protection. We have the right to health care. Today you go to hospital in Senegal, in Dakar, and in Thiès. After those two regions, when you get out, you cannot see a dermatologist. And when you come to the hospital to register for the dermatologist, you see a line of name that can take around 1 month. You fight until you face the dermatologist. She just take his phone and just take a picture. Listen, mister, this is your prescription. You have to stay 6 months or 9 months, and you come back. I will take another picture and see the difference. You live around 300 kilometers to join Dakar, only to see a dermatologist because you have a pen. You have a pen, you cannot sleep at night. This pen is hurting you 24 hours a day. They don't give you a painkiller. The only prescription they give you is to push your appointment until 6 months, because they know that she cannot do nothing. She don't have the power to put in place a money that you can use to keep yourself, to pay your medication. You have to do your checking. You have to do a scanner. You have to do chemotherapy. All those activities are private in Senegal, and they are private in Africa because it's not everybody who can pay the cost. And this is another, right that people with albinism must have to have a well-being. So today, it's so many problems that we are facing as people living with albinism, and our government are here. They left us behind and they ignore our problem because they don't want to take money and put it. So tomorrow you will put maybe 50 million in the football game or in the wrestling or in another thing, or to maybe to build some project, but some part of the population must benefit to that project and they are not involved. And this is why today so many things are not working 100% for people living with albinism in our country. So,
All right. So
thank you.
thank you so much, Mr. Mohamadu Bamba. I don't know if there are some few more comments that have come through. Okay, Kingsley Kwapong comes in to say, watching you guys from the state. Thank you so much, Mr. Kingsley Kwapong, for always supporting us. We are grateful. NDC Diaspora Union comes in with a message that, okay, now I understand why albinos wear big hats. Okay. Abna Ampofwa comes in with an emoji that expresses that she's enjoying the show. All right, I think that's it for now. I have two more questions and then we'll wrap up for tonight. So, Mr. Mohammed Bamba, in ahead of my preparations for tonight's program, I was going through some articles and I chanced on a few comments from some of the interviewees in a research paper. And then some of the participants were sharing their experiences. One person mentioned that he was once thirsty and he went to a house along the road to beg for drinking water. And when the woman gave him the water, she actually poured it in a glass. And he was very grateful for that gesture. But after he drank the water and he handed over the glass to the woman, she immediately threw the glass to the ground and broke it in his presence with anger. And she began chanting evil incantations. And he mentioned that he was shocked at that point and he didn't understand why that kind of discrimination was meted out against him. Another person also said he was chased away like a dog or a thief when he knocked at the gate of someone in a residential area in search for casual work. And he didn't really understand the crime that he had committed. I mean, he felt like he's in search of a job, just like any ordinary person. And so why would he be chased around and, I mean, like a thief or like a dog? And these are some of the challenges that persons living with albinism have suffered over the years. It's just pathetic and it's unfortunate. And so with you being part of this class of people, I want you to give your advice to these perpetrators. We have a lot of people that are still acting very hostile against persons living with albinism. Please give them one or two words with regards to that.
Yes, because I'm angry with them because this is so many in the big one, that people with albinism are facing. I remember in my office sometime I welcome somebody. When we come and we start to talk, she start to cry. I say, what happened? He say, you can't tell me why all those black things are on my skin. I say because sometimes so many people with albinism, they have the traces of melanin. in their blood, and that's why when you see their skin, sometimes it's come out, some in some area, some black skin, and sometimes also in their black thing, you see some black one who are, beginning of cancer, because this is two things. He tell me, because if I want to join some people and they see me like this, most of them, they don't want me to join their environment. If it's in the family, when we eat, they just want to give me in one plate and just ask me to stay there and eat, to don't join, the family food. And sometimes when I start to check for a training or to start to get a job, I go to a family, I say, I want to be a housewoman. They say, no, we cannot hide you like a housewoman. You think we will give you our food to prepare you, like your face, like your skin, like this? How you can prepare our food? And they come very destroyed. They come with loss of loss of power, loss of chance. It's like somebody give them a knife inside their heart. And this is so many difficulty that person with albinism are facing. But I must tell to those people, I tell it in the beginning, that if you want to be very strong, just understand that you will face so many storm in front of you. And those kind of discrimination, just see them like a storm that you have to remove. Today, we start to organize Albinism Fashion Week, Albinism Fashion Show, because so many of them has a very nice skin. So many of them, they have black things on their skin, but they look nice. When they have a very good, hair care, and they have a very good clothes, they can be a top model. And I remember the last albinism fashion show we organized in Dakar was a very good, success, because we choose in so many area people living with albinism with different conditions, like a man and girl. And today, most of them also, they don't have access to marriage. In Senegal, if you are living with albinism condition, you want to have a wife, it's very difficult. Nobody want to give you their girl for wife. It's happened to the man, it happened to the girl. And today you see so many albinism girls, they get pregnancy very early because they want to, show that they are woman being, they are girl, they have to enjoy themselves. But the vision and the way that people just approach them is just, my charmer man tell me, if I have relationship with a girl with albino or a man with albino, I will have a very open life, I will have success, I will be very rich. And some of them also say they can keep from the cancer. So today I advise them to be very strong, because the first thing is to be strong, because you cannot face all those things. If you are not strong, you get destroyed. So you have to be very strong to accept it. And today, as a father of person living with albinism, sometimes my kids, they come to school, they come sick, they come crying. Sometimes you wake up them in the morning, they don't want to go to school. You ask them what happened, they just ignore. And I understand myself, because I face those difficulties, I face those problems. But what you must tell them? Listen, the life is not easy for everybody. Today, the life is very difficult, because when you are facing discrimination, when you are facing marginalization, you have to show to the people, my life, my way is up to me, not up to you. You can't put some storm on my street, on my way, but I will fight and find my way to just run around those storms and continue my challenge to achieve my goal. Must be strong, guys. Accept all the people will do for you and show them that you have to follow your life, and there will be never a difference between albino and regular people. We must have one word, and people must change their mentality to involve albino in the community because they are human beings like others. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Muhammadu Bamba. All too soon, we'll be wrapping up for tonight and we'll bring our discussion to a close. All the same, we want to find out from you. Do you have any final words for us?
Yes, I just want to add something because when I was running around Africa, I talked to so many people, I talked to so many organizations. And what we just see in so many countries that there is so many organizations for people living with albinism, and everybody work in some field and they are not united. And today, when we do like this, we give the power to the government to make difference between us. We must be together. I want to call all the people living with albinism in every country in Africa to don't just think about putting in place an organization and seeing themselves the way that they want to lead, and they want to be a leader, they want to join training or all those things. I want to ask them because this is something that I noticed and who is not good for us as we become very, as we are divided, as we lost, and we will lose, and we will always lose. So I want to ask them to be together, to be united, to have one voice, to raise one hand, to fight the right in front of our government. Because this is like this that we come strong. If we are united, we come more strong, and we have one voice. And when we are in front of our leaders, our government, our president, we can show that we are strong and we must get our right from them. Thank you so much. This is what I just want to share with my people, to give them, the way that we must be together, the way that we want to have to welcome as a people to join our fighting, to show to the humanity that the problem is in Africa, but the problem can be resolved if we stay strong and we make more advocacy in front of the community. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Muhammadu Bamba. I think I saw a few comments coming through, and I would want to take the comments before we call it a night. Okay, so Bryce Bako says, Je te suis depuis le Cameroon. Okay, so with my little French, I think he's saying he's following you from Cameroon. Okay,
Yes.
Bryce Bako comes in to say once again, courage, ma sœur. All right, so thank you, Bryce Bako, for your comment. Patience Bako comes in once again to say, one of the most successful musicians to come out from Africa is Salifu Kiata, and he's also an albino.
Yes.
Thank you for that, Patience Dako. Yes, absolutely. We have great people that are emerging, and yes, they are unique people. They may be different from us in terms of color, but they also have capabilities and potentials. And as you said, we know that there's going to be a change in society with regards to discrimination against persons with disabilities. All right, so we would want to call it a night, but before that, we want to say a very big thank you to you, Mr. Muhammadu Bamba, for joining us this evening. We know that you have a lot on your plate. Already we had featured you in our news anchor, or should I say in our news update for the week. And you still made time to be with us tonight as well. And today has been an in-depth discussion with you. We hope to engage you further in subsequent days. We appreciate greatly your time and your efforts, as well as the education you've given us with regards to persons living with albinism. Thank you once again. And also to our followers on Facebook, on YouTube, on Anchor FM, and those who are watching us live on their screens in the Eastern European countries, we say thank you so much for joining us. Keep supporting us, keep sticking by us, keep being with us, so that together we can achieve our dream of becoming the best TV for web programs. We appreciate your time. Join us throughout the entire week as we have special programs for you as well, from Monday through to Saturday. We are glad to have you always on our screens. Keep supporting us, keep following us. Once again, our social media handles are Today Ghana News TV on Instagram, on YouTube, everywhere. I mean, all the social media handles, TikTok. You can find us anywhere on the social media platforms. Thank you for being with us. This is how we wrap up for tonight. See you same time next week. Bye-bye.
Dino me hu men ka se wo fa